Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Leslie Watkins. How are you all today? It's a beautiful autumn day here in New England. The sun is shining. It's actually kind of warm today for the end of or mid-November. And I'm getting ready to start my watercolor class for Christmas card backgrounds, and I'm calling this Winter Landscapes. And today's the last day that you can register for this class. And I have the information and the registration link on a previous post. If you just go below this post on the Facebook page, you'll get that link. And today I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do with a winter landscape as a background for your projects. And also I'm going to take you through one from start to finish and show you how you can make a wonderful Christmas card just adding a few things and just with a couple of simple tools. So let's get started. So here are, oh, we're really crooked here. Let's straighten that out. Whoa. There we go. Okay. So here are some of the things that I've used a winter background scene for. So you can see it on the back of these cute ornaments that I made. Here it is behind the Snow Wonder Snow Lady. And here are some winter scenes. This is actually the view from in front of my post office where I live. And then I have a little bright star here in the winter solstice sky. And here's another one in a vertical format. So these are not hard to do. You just need a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of practice, and you'll be able to make as many of these winter snow scenes as you'd like. So I'm going to show you today how to make a snow scene, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a really cute little embellishment that you can make for your card and dress it up a little bit. So I have my inks here, and I know this looks messy. It is messy, but these inks are still good. They're still very usable. So I'm going to keep this off to the side here. That's what I'm going to use. And I have my water painter. So I'm just going to grab that medium-sized one. I've got a couple of paper towels ready to go. And I've got a little bit of water off to the side to clean my brush. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my paper trimmer. And if you don't have a paper trimmer, you need to get a paper trimmer. If you know somebody who would like to get into paper crafting over the winter, someone who's crafty and they don't have one of these, this would make a fantastic gift. And there are some really great special deals going on right now. So if you're interested in learning more about that, just contact me and let me know. So I'm using the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and I'm just going to use a half sheet. So I'm going to cut this at 3 1/2. All right, so now I've got enough paper for 2 cards. Actually, while I have my trimmer out, I'm going to go ahead and cut my card base as well. Excuse me. So for that, I have, actually I've got several pieces of paper here. So this is the Very Vanilla cardstock, and I've got it in the regular weight, and I also have it in the thick, heavier weight, and I'm going to use the heavier one for my card base. Grab a sip of coffee, that always helps. And I'm going to score that at 4 1/4. Cut it at 5 1/2. Here's my card base. I'll put this aside for another day. And I have a piece of evening evergreen that I'm going to use for my mat. And I think what I'm going to do is, because it's a little bit different proportion here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it match this. So that is going to be 5 1/4 by 3 3/4 should do it. And that's going to give me a nice little border around there. And I'm just going to use my spritzer. So here's my spritzer. And I'm going to give this paper a little spritz off to the side here. So it just has a light misting on it to soften my edges a little bit. And let me see. Just looking to see if I've got some evening evergreen ink handy. I've got my ink pad. That'll work. Okay, so I'm just zooming you in so you can get a better view. And I'm just mixing up a little bit of blue, and I'm toning it down with some of the mud that's on my palette here. Here, I'll let you see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so I'm just grabbing some blue that's a little bit grayed down. I'm just going to put in a sky. We'll have a little bit of snow down below. And maybe we'll have a hill or a mountain in the distance. That's a little too red, so I'm just going to add a little more blue to that. There we go. And a little bit of brush maybe poking up through the snow. I'll just put a couple little strokes here and there. And soften those a bit. Okay. There we go. And I think what I want to do is add some evergreen. So I'm going to use my evening evergreen, and I'm going to dilute that Just drop in some trees in the distance. Some more over in this area. And there's my little wintry background. I'm going to put this aside to dry a bit, and then I'm going to add a little bit more to it once it's drier. So while that's drying, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. Move this out of the way. And I'm just looking to see, I'm checking to make sure that we are live here. And there we are. Okay, and I see Sandra, Kelly, Diane. Oh my goodness, Diane from Sydney. How exciting. Thank you so much for joining me. And Sandra's from California. Awesome. I'm going to use a stamp set that I really, really like for sentiments. And it's called Heartfelt Wishes. And I just love these kind of long, extended, thin lines that it has here. So we've got Merry Christmas, Happiest Holidays, much gratitude, which is a really awesome sentiment, sending love. This is just one of the best all-around sentiment sets, not only for what it says, but I think for the way it looks, because it really makes a wonderful statement. No pun intended. So let's see. I think I'll use, I'm going to go with Happiest Holidays today. So let's see where that is. That phone will start ringing soon, I hope. I'm just going to mute you for a minute. Okay, there we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. And this is the lighter weight, very vanilla cardstock. And I'm just going to ink this up. And this is my first time using this stamp, and I want to be very careful not to get a halo. So I'm just going to do my best not to rock it. Not so good. Let me try it again. Sometimes when you have a brand new stamp and you haven't used it yet, you have to do a little practice stamp first. There we go. I really like the way that looks. Okay, so I'm going to cut that out. And let's see how long this is. There we go. So there's my sentiment, and I love that. It's so pretty. And I also have a scrap of the evening evergreen. And for this, I'm going to use the elegant tag punch. Just like that. And I'm going to, I also have some of the champagne rhinestones. I have the, what are these called? The gold holly leaves. I've got a couple of different ribbons here. And I've got some scraps left over from my cards that I made using the Eden's Garden collection, which is available right now. And so this is just a little collection of things I keep in an envelope in case I want to use them. And I thought what I would do would make a to make a little tag. Look how pretty that is. I like that. Okay, let me get my hole punch. This is that wonderful cotton paper that comes with the Eden's Garden collection, and this color is called Soft Succulent. And I'm just going to make it a little irregular shape here. And I have a hole punched in each of these things so I can slip a ribbon through there. And I'm just going to start building just a little Christmassy decoration for my card. So I'm just scrunching that up, and I'm going to glue that down. I'm going to line up the, just putting the glue in the middle so that the edges turn up a little bit, and I'm just going to line up those holes so that the ribbon can go through. And now I can take some of these scraps, and these are just little bits and pieces of the frames that I cut apart from one another. I'm just going to put that right on there. And I've got some little gold berries. I'll zoom you in so you can see better. So I'm just going to add these. So, you know, this is all these little bits and pieces that you have left over from your projects. Just, you know, put them in a little box or an envelope and use them to create these little decorations for your projects. Let's see. I'm going to slip this little piece of ribbon through there. Let me make a point so it goes through easier. I'll just tie that in a knot. There we go. All right, and now my little holly leaves. So these are actually two different sizes. There's a big and a little. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to use glue dots to adhere these, and then we'll get back to the watercolor, which is actually a painting with ink today. All right, let's get this right side up. Go. Okay, I think for this little decoration, I think what I want to use are the red rhinestones. So let me go grab my red rhinestones. Better yet, I found the wonderful gems. They're a little bit bigger. So I'm going to use these. How do they open? Here they are. Let's try one of these big ones. Okay, and then I'll add a little one, if I can grab it. There we go. Put this one down here. Okay, so there's a very simple little decoration. I think it says the holidays. It says Christmas with the red and green. It's just got a little bit of gold and this wonderful texture from this paper and these die cuts, and just made with scraps and a couple of embellishments. All right, so we'll put that aside for the moment. We'll come back to that. Let me clean up this mess. Now I've got, there we go. Just gonna put all these things away. Okay, and we'll save this for the next project. All right, so this is feeling pretty dry now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little more detail. So I'm going to get my inks back. Actually, I want to use the Evening Evergreen ink. And now I'm going to take a slightly darker mixture, and I'm just going to put a spruce tree. Okay, just a couple of strokes. Okay, just like that. And then I can add a couple of little branches on the edges. I'll put another one. It's a little too wet. There we go. Okay, so as easy as that, you can have a couple of beautiful evergreen trees in your picture. Now I'm going to go ahead and assemble this. Actually, let's put one more off to the side here, so this area is not so blank. We'll put a little cluster going off into the distance. There we go. I'm going to get my blue, just add some shadow. A little foreground. And we're good. Now let me get my card base. So here's my Very Vanilla card base. I like using the Very Vanilla with the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. I think they go really nicely together because the Fluid 100 watercolor paper does have a slight tone. It's all natural cotton, and the white cardstock would just make it look a little bit too contrasty. Now before I glue this down, I think what I want to do is add some ribbon. So this is the Evening Evergreen ribbon, and it's called the Open Weave ribbon, and it's really pretty. It's very delicate. It has this kind of transparent see-through center, and it ties very nicely. So what I want to do is, let me think about this for just a second. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to take a piece of my double-sided tape. This is the tear-in tape. And I'm just going to run a little strip along the side like so. Burnish that down. Alright, and then I'm just going to tie my ribbon into a knot right over here. There we go. And now, let's move that over a little bit. There we go. Now I'm just using the little bit of the liquid glue. And you don't need much, this is very strong. Get that mounted on my card base. Now as I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in joining me for the Winter Landscape Workshop, today is the last day to register, and I will have the link below, but you can also find it in a previous post that I just posted before I started doing the live today. And if you just click on that that link, it'll bring you to the registration form. And the class includes materials for 8 note cards. There'll be a Zoom, a live Zoom presentation where you can ask questions and watch the video tutorial. I'll go over the materials and different techniques that you can use in painting your landscapes. And there will also be some optional kits that you can get so that you'll have everything you need to follow along. So check that out, and remember, today is the last day to register. So if you're interested, you'll want to do that as soon as you can. So here's how my card is looking so far. And here is my sentiment. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a wave. I'm going to go that way first, and then I'm going to curl up the edges. All right. And then I have my little tag here. And let me see, maybe we don't need that little ribbon in there. Maybe I'll just tie that on. I'm going to take this off. It's a nice idea to use up that scrap of ribbon, but I think what I'll do is I'll make a bow instead. Oops. I have to get my head a little bit closer to see what I'm doing here. Sorry if I get my head in the camera frame. There we go. Love this ribbon. Really, really pretty. You can see how nicely it falls even with these very delicate little applications. Okay, and then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get my dimensionals. I'm just wondering, do I want to sponge the edges? I think I do. Let me sponge the edges real quick. So I'm going to get my dauber out. Here's my, is that my green one? Let me see. Here's my green one. Okay. So I'm just going to go very lightly, just around the edges, so that has a little bit more of a finished look. Yeah, that's better. And I'm just going to put Put my 3-dimensionals towards the center. I'll add one more because this is extra long. So there's 4. Because I want the center to pop up a little bit, but I want the ends to lay down a little flatter. Now here's the question, do I want it to be askew or straight? I'm going to trim this down a little bit more. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to there we go. Better. Okay, now I do want this edge to show, so I'm just going to raise it up just a little bit. It's still too big. All right, I'm going to rethink this. Let me see. I'm going to try trimming it down just a little more, and I'm going to use my big scissors for this so I get a nice straight line. I'm going to do a little bit off the top. All right, and I'm going to I need a little more ink here. Much better. Okay, I'm good with that. And I think what I'll do is I'll take one more of these little okay, and there is a very simple but very dressy little card that you can make using your inks and a quick snow scene in the background. And you know, you could use any kind of tag that you have, or you could make a tag. So for instance, if you don't have a tag punch, what I would do is simply cut out a little rectangle. So here's one 2 inches wide. And then all you'd have to do would be to trim it down to the size you like. Take off the corners. If you have a hole punch, just put a little hole in there and you'd be good to go. Okay, if you wanted to, you could trim off these corners as well. And it would be just that simple. So I hope I gave you some ideas today. I hope you'll remember to register for the winter landscape painting class I have coming up, and that will take place, where's my paper? The Zoom is going to be on November 26th. You'll make 8 note cards. Today's the last day to register, And if you'd like to get on my mailing list to find out about the other classes that I have coming up for Christmas tags, ornaments, and boxes, please go to my website at dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to notes, and I will notify you of everything I have coming up. So have a great day, stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time on Paper Crafting Saturday.